Hello everyone, welcome back to your Python beginner course. So, in our previous classes, we learned about decision making statements like if else, and elif. So, today we are going to learn one of the most important and powerful concepts in Python, that is for loops. By the end of this class, you will be able to understand what a for loop is, use the range function, loop through strings, understanding the nested loops, and learning some advanced loop concepts like break, continue, pass, and else. So let's get started. Introduction to for loops. So suppose if I ask you to print hello for the 5 times, what will you do? So one way is to print the hello for the 5 times is by using the print statement. Let me show you that. So open your Chrome in the laptop and go to new tab. In that, search for Python Online Compiler. Click on the first link. So in the code editor, press Ctrl A and backspace. So first, now I'm going to print hello for the 5 times by using the print statement. So what will be the output? The output is hello for the 5 times. And the other way is to print the hello word by using for loop. So here in this example, we are only printing the hello for the 5 times, right? But imagine printing the hello for the 1,000 times. By using the print statement, it is very time taking, right? So in that cases, we will use loops. Okay. So a loop repeats the same task multiple times. In that, a for loop repeats a block of code for every item in a sequence. A for loop repeats a block of code in every item in a sequence. So, what is a sequence? What is a sequence? Some examples of the sequences are list, tuple, string, set, and a dictionary. So, the for loop visits each item one by one. The for loop visits each item one by one. This is very important statement. The syntax of the for loop. For item in sequence, code block to be executed, and print of item. So here for, this is the keyword that tells Python we are starting a loop. For is the keyword that tells Python that we are going to start a loop. Item. So item, this is called the loop variable. So item is called the loop variable. It stores one value at a time. For example, if the list is here, for example, if the list is apple, banana, and cherry, so here the item, in the name of item, we are replacing it by the fruit. The fruit will store apple in the first iteration, and in the second iteration, it will store banana, and in the third iteration, it will store cherry. So, next, in. The word in means take each item from the sequence. The word in means it will take each item in the sequence. And what is the sequence? The sequence is the collection we want to travel through. Here, fruits is the sequence. You can see the fruits is the sequence in. It will take each item from the sequence, and the name fruit is the item that will store each value in the sequence, and for is the keyword that will loop the entire sequence. Next, we will go through this example. Okay. First, take a list. I'm taking a list called fruits. Now, I'm taking a for loop. In that, I'm assigning fruit, which is known as the item, and taking the sequence called fruits. In that, I'm going to print all the fruit names in the fruits. So you can see the output is apple, banana, and cherry. So if I take a real world example for the for loop is attendance. In the attendance, the teacher will call each student at a time. So, for example, if we have three students in a classroom, the teacher will call the first student. If the second student is absent, then the teacher will mark as the student that is absent, which will be else case in the programming language. Understanding? So a for loop also picks one item at a time from the sequence. If the item is not present in the sequence, then it will execute the else block. We will see the else conditions in the next part of the class. So let's continue with the range function. Okay. So sometimes we don't have a list. So we use range function in that cases. So the range function is used for the integer part. Instead, we simply want to repeat something a certain number of times. So that's where range comes in. The range function generates a sequence of numbers. The range function will generate a sequence of numbers. So this is the syntax of the range function. The range function is used to iterate over the sequence of numbers, which will be the integer part. So in that we have in cases, case 1, case 2 and case 3. Let's go for it. So the case 1 is range of stop. So here I'm taking for loop for I in range of 5. Colon. Colon is the important aspect that you need to remember. Okay. Without using the colon, it will show an error. Print of I. So you guys guess the output. What will be the output? Print of here I am saying that print of I. And here I does not take any list. So what will be the output? So you can see the output is 4. So notice something, it starts from 0, it ends before 5. This is very important. So here start include start means it is included, end it is excluded. Here I'm saying that 5, range of 5. I'm not mentioning the start or stop, only saying the 5. So the Python will understand that the start is from the 0 and end is the number minus 1. Here I am saying 5. So the Python will understand that end is the 5 minus 1, which will be 4. Okay, this is the end rule. Next, start, comma, stop. Now, I'll take the same example for I in range of, but here I'll mention the start number that is 2 and the end number is 6 colon print of I. So now guess what is the output? What will be the output? The output will be 2 to 5. You can see, yes, here the 2 to 5 because start is included. So the first integer should be 2 and the end is excluded. So 6 is excluded means the output should be only the 5. Okay. And next, range of start, stop and step. So the third value is called step. How Python tells that how much should I increase after every iteration? How much should I increase after every iteration? For example, if the range has 1, 10, and 2, so the output will be 1, 3, 5, 7, like that. You can see 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So here start is 1, stop is 10. First start means 1 means, so start is included, so in the first integer is 1 and stop is 10, so 10 is excluded, so the last number should be 9, so here 9, and the step is 2 means Python is saying that take 2 steps ahead for the every iteration. So in the first iteration the output is 1, and in the next iteration it will be like 1 plus 2 and the output is 3. So next iteration output is 3. And in the second iteration, it will say 3 plus 2. The answer is 5. So the next iteration value is 5. Like that, it will take 5 iterations and the outputs are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. So here in the range function, we also having negative step. Step can also be negative. So this is the example of the positive step. Now I am going to show the negative step example. 5, 0, minus 1. Okay. Now you guys guess the answer. What will be the answer? Start. Start is 5. So the first integer should be 5. And next, in the next iteration, it should be 4. Next, it should be 3. Up to what? The stop value is 0, which means it will end at 1 only. You can see the output. Yes. It will start. Start is included 5 and stop is excluded. So the output is 1. So this is useful for the countdowns. Here the Python is moving backwards. Okay. Now this is all about the range function. Now we are going to see the looping through strings. A string is simply a collection of characters. A string is simply a collection of characters. For example, if we are having a word, it is storing a value called Python. So Python is a collection of characters which is Python. So actually the Python will store this word Python in such a way that Python, each character in a single line. You can see the output. So each letter is treated as a separate character. Okay, let's go through this example. For example, if we are having a word Python. Now I am going to use for loop. Okay. Here, in the place of item, I'm just use letter. So we can use any variable name as our wish. There is no conditions to use only these particular name. So here I have taken letter. In word is storing value called Python. So for letter in word means the Python will goes like P. It will be in the first letter. The letter variable is in the first letter. So it will print P. And next it will goes towards the Y. Then it will print Y. And the letter will move towards T. Then it will print T. So this is the workflow. You guys can see the output Python. So this is the output. Next. Why is string looping useful? So there are many applications in the string looping. So they are counting vowels, counting letters, searching and reversing strings. So by solving these kind of problems, you can understand the looping is very important for the strings. Next one is nested for loops. So now let's learn something interesting. A loop inside another loop is called a nested for loop. We also seen this type of case in the condition statements, like condition statements, right? So in the condition statements, we have seen this type of case in the if block. In that, we are using nested if condition. So here, just like that, but we are using the nested for. So I'll take an example first. First, I'm going to take a for loop by using the range functions. And next, I'm taking another for loop by taking another range function, and I'm just printing the two item names, which is row comma call. So first I'll explain the workflow. So in the nested for loops, the outer loop starts. So here the outer loop variable name is row, right? And inner loop variable name is call. The outer loop row will be running first. So the row will become 0 in the first iteration. So after running the row equal to 0, the control flow goes towards the next second for loop, which is for call in range of 2. So here call will be 0, right? And the important thing is to remember is the second for loop will run the entire range function. After completing the all range function in the second for loop, it will go back towards the outer for loop. So which means the call equal to 0, after completing it, it will also become call equal to 1. So we learned about range function, right? Here range of 2 means the range function will be ending at 1. So after the outer for loop execution is completed, the inner for loop will run 2 times, that is call equal to 0 and call equal to 1. And then the control flow goes towards again to row, and the row is becomes 1. Another time the inner for loop will be executed 2 times, that is call equal to 0 and call equal to 1. Again the control flow goes towards row equal to outer for loop, that is row equal to 2. In that the inner for loop will be executed 2 times because the range function is 2. So call equal to 0 and call equal to 1. So after the execution of inner for loop, the output will be printed, and there is no another case to be printing, so the control flow will be terminated and the output will be shown in the display. So you guys can see the output is 00011011 and 21. So this process continues until the outer loop ends. This is all about the nested for loops. The real world example for the nested for loops is star pattern example. That is star pattern example. Here we are going to print star patterns like star, double, triple, 4, 5. The output should be look like this. So for these, we will use the for loop. Let's get started. First, we should take a for loop. So I'm going to take a loop from start equal to 1 and end equal to 6. So which will be 5. And another for loop for j in range of I. So we want star to be printed in the display, right? So for that, I'm going to write in the print statement as star. Okay. So in the first for loop, the control will move from 1. So the first iteration is 1. In the inner for loop, it will be like for I j in range of I. So here I value is what I is storing 1. So the for j in range of 1. So the loop will be executed only one time. And in the second iteration, here in the first iteration, I equal to 1 and j equal to 1. So the output will be only 1 star. And in the second iteration, I equal to 2, comma j is also equal to 2. So the output will be 2 stars because the j loop will be printing star in multiple times, which is 2 times. And in the third iteration, the I will become 3 and j is also become 3. So the j for loop will be executed 3 times and print 3 stars in the display. So this is the workflow of the star pattern example. Summary cheat sheet. So before moving ahead, revise what we learned first. So, for loop repeats code for each item. Range of stop starts at 0 and excludes the stop value. Range of start comma stop starts from given number and excludes the stop value. Range of start comma stop comma step increases or decreases by the given step. Strings are iteratable, so you can access one character at a time. Nested loops are loops inside loops. So the inner loops completes all its iterations for every iteration of the outer loop. This is all about today's class. In the next class, we will see about break, continue, and pass, and some string functions like enumerate and else part also. So I hope you guys like this video. Thank you.